Calls to South Carolina's only suicide prevention hotline call center have increased. And starting 2 weeks ago, you can dial 988 to get mental health help.
Our Jason Raven tells us how the call center is trying to approach this increase in calls for help.
Mental Health America of Greenville County says during the first 2 weeks of 988 being operational, calls from South Carolina to the National Suicide Prevention Hotline have just about doubled. Jennifer Piver is the executive director of the nonprofit that operates the call center. Now, she says the switch to 988 has led to an expected jump in calls.
Many people didn't know about the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. This brought additional people to the service.
All of this while the center lacks steady state funding to boost staffing numbers to keep up with demand. Piver says they're looking at trends and data they've collected during the last 2 weeks to utilize their staff in the best way possible.
Trying to navigate with the resources that we have. Our staff and volunteers and AmeriCorps members have been doing a great job. But of course, we want 100% to be answered in state.
Now, calls that go unanswered in South Carolina are routed to a backup center in other parts of the country. Piver says they may not be familiar with the state's resources. She says some calls right now are taking up to 3 minutes to be answered by a backup center.
People don't wait that long for the transfer to happen. There are hundreds of workers in the U.S. waiting to take your call. But I encourage people, if you're in distress and you call, please stay on the phone. Someone really is there to answer it.
Piver expects calls to the lifeline to increase when the school year rolls around. A state law requires mental health resources to be printed on every student ID card for students in 7th grade and up. There are state mental health resources you can call directly as well. The State Department of Mental Health has a mobile crisis hotline, and you can reach crisis clinicians at 833-364-2274. Doesn't matter what county you live in. In Columbia, Jason Raven, 7 News.
Again, if you or anyone you know is having suicidal thoughts, that number to call for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 988.